Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Raypower FM. My name is Amechi Anakwabulo Semoa, who joins me on today's edition of the program. Abulo, thank you so much for coming around today.
Amechi, good morning. The weather is heavy in Abuja and part of the north. Wear a nose mask if you can. You don't have any business outside. Can remain indoors. And for children in school, the teachers should be careful, not allowing them play too much around because of the heavy weather. It carries a lot of diseases in it. You know how our environment is. The roads are not constructed. The culverts, the gutters are dirty. They are not clean. The drainage system is not working properly. People are running water outside their houses that cause threat to health, people's health. So it's a warning. The meteorologists will tell you rain is not here yet. Hamatan is here.
Yes, rain is in some parts of Nigeria, and I was just thinking different strokes for different folks. In the coastal states, there is a tendency for some light thunderstorms, some rains. So in one part of the country rains, in the other part, especially in the north, northwest, especially northeast, Hamatan does haze, visibility reducing. So that's Nigeria for you. In Nigeria, you have everything. You have heat, you have cold, you have savanna, you have mangrove, you have the tropical rainforest, you have the Sahel, those semi-arid areas. And that makes that's the beauty of the country. We have everything. We have Muslims, we have Christians. You know, I was telling a class the other day that going spiritual, there's a reason why God made everything in opposites. A man, woman, day and night. And any country that is blessed with opposites truly is loved by God. So if you have Christians there, we have Muslims there, we have Igbos there, we have Hausas there, we have Yorubas, we have Efiks, we have Thieves, we have Ijos. It's even a greater portion of blessings for that country. And countries that have this diversity really do well. Think of US. Everybody wants to go there despite what Trump is doing. Look at Australia, a federal system with heterogeneous in nature. They are doing exceedingly well. Germany is a republic. They operate a republican federal system. They are the giants of Europe. So those countries that have this diversity, they've been able to harness this diversity for greater development. But unfortunately, our diversity has remained the bane of our development. So it's left for us after God has blessed us. Yes, it's only in Nigeria there are some springs. You will see warm spring, cold spring. You think you're in heaven. Yes, in the southwest. Just ask Group or AI or go on Google to give you a symbolic representation of paradise. You see those spring areas, water gushing out from a rock stones in a thick forest. We have them in abundance. So God has made Nigeria to be a paradise. But unfortunately, the people that are here, perhaps we need to study more about how to make Nigerian people work in conjunction with the Nigerian area as a country.
With all these elements or these characteristics you have mentioned, US is God's own country. Nigeria is God's own country as well. Because if you look at the US and Nigeria, they have 52 states, we have 36 plus FC, that's 7 states, almost 52. And if you create more states now, like the states you are clamoring for in Anambra State, we will almost close to the US. So Nigeria is a big country. Even though with our complexity, we are still moving. Like the president says, he's optimistic about taking us to El Dorado. Yeah, we'll get to El Dorado one day. When we see those warm springs, like one in Yankari Game Reserve, Ikogosi, warm spring in the state, and you have Olumo Rock with Pride, and people can travel and have fun. But unfortunately, all non-state actors have taken over some of these lovely spots. The National Game Reserve, what they call it now, National Parks and National Parks, who's supposed to have all these game reserves in their coffers, their hands are weak because insurgents have taken over those places. I just listened. I just heard.
While other countries, South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, are offering safari.
How much?
Our own is bandits and terrorists that are there.
I heard the Zapara State Chief Justice was saying that no bandit out of the 70 that we talked about in December have been released, that the due process has to be followed, and they've not released any bandits for peace. These are issues that border on the future of Nigeria. Children go to school. You can imagine, I was chatting with an 8-year-old the other day, and he said, and she said, a sweet. She wanted to possess a sweet. So I wanted to give her 50 naira, and the seller said, no, it's lollipop. I said, what? And I said, what? The small 8-year-old said, it's Tinubu. And I told her, shut up there. You know what, during Jonathan, everything, you quarrel with your wife, is Jonathan. You don't have to.
Why are you shutting a young
yes,
person?
because that is what the teacher must have told her. That it is Tinubu.
No, that's what those around her have been telling her. So all you need to do is to try to engage and educate rather than shutting up.
Yeah, well, I try to educate her. Say, that cap of a leader is not easy. Especially when you have a complex country like Nigeria, where you have issues coming from all around, and the presidency has time to travel to Turkey to sign deals. Nigerian government still have time to go to Saudi Arabia to sign deals on bilateral labor relations.
But do you blame those actually, if we interrogate it? They always call the name of the president whenever there is a problem in their household. If there's a quarrel between husband and wife, they want to stamp it on Tinubu. Do you blame them? When the president controls the greater portion of our resources. That's why we say we run a federal system, but in practice it's a unitary system. A federal government controls 52% in terms of revenue allocation. Federal government owns all the resources in Nigeria, even when they occur in your backyard, in your great-grandfather's grave, ancestors' grave. It belongs to the federal government. They own it. The federal government owns everything. So if they own a greater share, if there's a problem, why shouldn't you first? I'm not saying don't point at other places. Why should you not first point at the one that controls the biggest share?
Yes, I mentioned, let's not mix this up. Are you certain the federal government owns the minerals in Zamfara, for example? Are you certain federal government owns the minerals in
They decided to allow criminals to be in control.
Is it not too much energy on the oil that we have, the crude oil? Because if you insist and you agree that federal government owns the minerals up in the north and up in the southwest in Kitty where they mine gold, the Balogun is there can tell us. Are you certain that the federal government has strong hold of those minerals the way they have strong hold?
The issue of stronghold is a different thing. If the fact is that it's owned by the federal government, it's federal government's inability to exploit it that has led to this situation. Adebayo Bodure, in 1960, I think Ahmadu Bello sent his lieutenant, his boy, his mentee, his protege to Lagos to become prime minister because he believes that there's nothing in Lagos. That was when we were a truly federal government. That was when things go wrong. The names that come to the mouth of citizens are Ahmadu Bello, Bofami Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Michael Okpara, and others, because they are the ones that were controlling resources. So you cannot control resources and expect blame not to come first to you. Then before you go to second level, who is responsible for our misdeeds.
Thank you, Amishi, and good morning to our listeners out there. I had you inside the car in late, and you were discussing the beauty of Nigeria.
Yes.
You missed one point.
Yes.
And that point was just yesterday by the retired head of the Anglican Church worldwide, Archbishop.
Yes, that's a very young.
He said Nigeria is a unique country. It's the only country in the whole world, where almost everybody knows about God. And that's a very unique point for us.
We don't just know about God, we practice it more than those that the religions were established in their countries.
So it is one point, and that Nigeria cannot promote unity without talking about religion, without talking about justice. Very, very commendable thing for us. Very good comment coming. The man spent a greater part of his youthful life working in Nigeria, in the Niger Delta. But you see, you are raising this issue of Nigeria, where we are today, and what it was in the past. The regions were very strong. The region were focused. The region, up to now, are still the basis of assessing leadership whenever the issue of leadership is being discussed in the country. Because what we have there were visionary leadership, people who are thinking of the future, who are thinking of building. But do we have that today? When you have a Senate that's behaving like a man who is looking for who prepare for marriage without finding the wife he will marry. That is what took place in the Senate yesterday.
He's prepared for marriage. He's prepared for event hall to host the reception, invited guests, bought cakes, paid the vendors that provide food, but there was no bribe.
Right, that's what happened yesterday.
It's fake.
I'm not saying that. I'm linking it to what happened in the Senate yesterday.
Okay,
when on the eve of election, they are now setting up a committee to study our electoral act to determine for them what
just before you continue, that's what on our YouTube page at Raypower Abuja, where we are transmitting live at Tari Walton 3493 says, please, what was the outcome of the electoral bill before the Senate after the executive session? That's exactly where Adebayo Bodori is.
That's exactly what happened yesterday. To me, that's the interpretation I give to it. It shows some seriousness.
So what did they do yesterday? What did the Senate do?
What they decided yesterday, after 2 hours of executive session, a secret meeting, which Nigerians don't know about.
A secret court meeting.
Which is supposed not to be in the first place. What they now decided to do is to raise a panel to study the committee's report and advise them on what should be their decision. That's exactly why I said.
I don't know whether to laugh or get angry. Is there a middle point I can stand?
There's nothing
between anger and laughter.
It's anger. It's anger. Because for me, it shows unseriousness. It shows lack
of the highest order.
It shows lack of commitment. Because these are issues that started 2 years ago. And it's only yesterday you are now setting up.
All of a sudden, you woke up from your slumber.
And then you now decide that, I seem to agree. I seem to agree with the claim of those who protested on Tuesday that there appear to be a hidden agenda.
Yes, I agree with you. And that hidden agenda was further, they entrenched the foundation during the secret executive session they held. Was it yesterday?
They turned the whole thing to civil society. Nigerians deserve to know decisions of our lawmakers. They are representatives of the people. They are not representing themselves. That's the impression they are giving now, as if they are representing themselves. They are representatives of the people. So whatever they do it. They must do it in the open. That executive session is unnecessary.
No, Abuli, one thing, there's what I call, what some others will call being clever by half. And it happened to the National Assembly during the last amendment of the Electoral Act. They kept moving the goalposts when the match was on. They were dilly-dallying. They kept changing till they rigged themselves out of the process. What did they do? Before then, lawmakers elected at all levels were automatic delegates. But because they were not guided by patriotism and the need to ensure credible election by putting in place a legal framework in form of the Electoral Act that will achieve that, they were trying to be clever by half, meander here. And they didn't know when they excluded themselves as delegates during primary election. Yeah. By the time they realized it, the president has signed and they said, we want to amend this. Buhari told them, you're not going to amend anything. I will not sign any amendment. You have to go into elections with that. And they were the biggest losers. Now again, if they are smart and not being clever by half that they're doing, if they are wise and stop being clever by half, because the danger of being clever by half is that you get caught in your own web. You prepare a trap or a web to catch a prey. At the end of the day, you fall into it and you become the prey. So what will likely happen is that as governors that are defective from one party to the other, those senators that were in APC before, the governors, they have their own people. their own supporters, their own proteges and all that. And these are, if they hijack the electoral process, they are the ones they will give the ticket because they are the leaders of the party at the state. So for those in the National Assembly, they will be the biggest beneficiary of an electoral that gives power to the people and make sure that no one man or godfather hijack the process. If they are dilly-dallying and will go into this election with the 2022 Electoral Act, many of them will not get ticket to even contest in the main election.
Well, I think that is why they had a secret meeting, as Balogun will call it, executive session they had. I want to believe that they mean well for the country.
They didn't mean well for the country.
How?
I disagree with you. I disagree with you.
Because
slipshotness in handling
Nigerians
a
are
serious
waiting
national issue.
for the
It's not many well for the country.
Assembly committee they set up yesterday. They chairing the committee. I'm sure Nigerians are waiting for them. Let's hear what the outcome will be from that committee they set up yesterday. Because
you know this. I told you the story of the Senate and setting up of committees. It's only in Nigeria that you see a snake enter your room where your family is, instead of grabbing the next available weapon, whether it's a mortar or a knife
or a stick
to kill it. There's this story, funny as it were. A man married a young man married a young bride, left her at home and traveled. She was about to have a bath. She saw a scorpion in the bedroom and she rushed to her phone to call the darling. Darling, there's a scorpion. The darling said, go and kill the scorpion first. So you see a snake, instead of dealing with the snake, you are setting up a committee. Who will kill the snake? Oh, we need a retired military officer. We need someone who has native intelligence. Meanwhile, the snake is hiding away. That's exactly what the Senate is doing. They know what the problem is. They have refused to deal with the problems. What did they choose? They say we'll set up committees. Committees that will, in Nigeria, setting up a committee is a synonym for dodging the problem.
Dodging the problem and also
circumventing the problem.
But anyway, I said let's have food. And they know very well.
Did the House of Representatives set a committee before they passed this same law? Did they set up a committee? Did they go into executive session in the same National Assembly chambers and complex? One is the green chambers. The green chambers, they have proved that the land is green. They have proved that they are for fertility of the country, that indeed green represents progress and positivity. The red chamber, the Senate, they have proved
the red represent danger.
Yes.
And so they are posing danger to our democracy.
Absolutely.
But whatever the reference point the committee has been given, I want to believe that they know that Nigerians are waiting at the doormat, waiting for them. The women especially are waiting. The women advocates are waiting, and those that were disenfranchised, unquote, in 2023, they are waiting by the doorsteps. What are you going to add? What are you going to strike? What are you going to minus from that electoral act? What is the committee's mandate? And how many days? I think they have 48 hours for them to go through the report and submit to the Senate. Whatever hours they have, they must know that Nigerians are waiting at the entrance to the National Assembly for what their outcome will be. And the outcome will determine whether the red is described as Balogun as danger, is really a danger, or everybody will now believe that the green chamber is the one that really wants the democracy to move. Because if you don't support the people's yearnings, I think there's a big problem. So under the Assembly Committee in the Senate should be mindful of his committee's work and outcome.
It's not the committee work alone. It's we have the willingness to do what is needful. We have the willingness to ensure that we do not use the 2022 Electoral Act for the 2027 election. Is that the willingness to ensure that we deepen democracy in Nigeria? Is there the willingness to show that the vote counts? These are issues that are concerned to me. These are issues that are concerned to many Nigerians. These are issues that have been raised since the last 2 years when this process started. What I'm saying that this step they are taking is a step in the wrong direction. It is not a step that we have.
It's not just a step. It's a wrong step in the wrong direction.
Yes.
You can take a wrong step in the right direction or a right step in the wrong direction. For the Senate, what they did or what they are doing is to take wrong step in the wrong direction. You know where it will lead you to? You know, Golgotha in the Bible, if you're a Christian, if you know the Bible, is a place of skulls. Is it not where they crucify the Lord Jesus?
Yeah.
That's where where you end up if you take the wrong steps in the wrong direction. Well, we are having problems with our server for our email, and so we'll resort to our live YouTube page to share some of the comments that are coming in. This one, Achoba Solomon, he says, Amechi, Nigeria is great. Talking about the weather and rain, I was drenched leaving Idimu in Lagos this morning, but everywhere is dry from Egbeda down to my destination, Ikeja. Nigeria is blessed. Indeed, we are blessed. In Idimu, in Ikeja, it's raining, but in Egbeda, it's dry. Just like I talked about.
And Abuja is also
it's
dry.
dry. And Port Harcourt, Calabar, Uyo, wet.
Wet.
Yes. Nigeria is indeed blessed. Can you have this kind of situation in Saudi Arabia? No. Can you have in UAE? No. It's only in Nigeria that you have opposites. And I reiterate, anywhere you have opposites, it shows signs of presence of God. Okay, let's take this one from Veshima June. He says, I hope the discovery of crude oil is not our problem. With all the mineral resources God bless us with, we don't have any business with poverty. You know, another name for crude oil is the black curse. All the countries, especially in Africa with crude oil, are moving in the negative direction. Venezuela is blessed with crude oil deposits 10 times more than what we have in Nigeria.
Exactly.
Today, Venezuela is broken, as it were. Their president was picked away, fished out like a fish in a pond. You know, if you have a pond, a fish pond in your backyard, you go in the morning if you're hungry, you want to have a fish meal. You look at the fattest one and you fish it out. That's how they fished out their president. So Venezuela rich with mineral resources, with crude oil, yet poor. Their people are walking it, trekking into US. So that has led to some people, including myself, because when the initial reports came that there's crude oil deposit in Anambra, I became sad. I said that will be the beginning of our problem. Our young people will become lazy because it's a rent. You will not be involved in the extraction. You will not be involved in the business. You're just waiting for handouts. Harass oil companies, they'll be paying you monthly. Vandalize pipelines, they will give you money for doing nothing, and it lowers productivity. Countries that are even that have huge, bigger deposit of crude oil, UAE, Qatar, than Nigeria, are moving away from crude oil. They are going into sustainable economic activities that will indeed generate revenue. They are moving into tourism. And what is Nigeria doing? We are still fighting over doing politics. NNPC must come and explore for crude oil in my area. We must get it. And I said, you must look at yourself and ask yourself, are you okay? Other nations are moving away from crude oil to other sustainable in terms of eco-friendly and sustainability in terms of revenue. You're still stuck deep in crude oil.
I know Balogun will guide us.
Look, Amici, let me tell you the story the story that confirmed that we are not getting it right. In Abuja yesterday, because of the conflict over oil wells by 12 states in the country, the most prominent of them being Akwa Ibom and Cross River. Yesterday, the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission set up a committee made up of Surveyor General of the Federation, the Boundary Commission of Nigeria, the Revenue Mobilization Commission itself, and critical stakeholder
to settle fights,
to determine, to verify the claims of each of these 12 states. The most interesting.
What was their claim?
Everybody is claiming that the oil wells
is
in their own area.
It's in their boundary. Even the most interesting of it all was between Bauchi and Gombe.
Yes, the Kilmani oil fields,
which we are here to start maximizing. There's already a problem between.
Oh, they were represented. Bauchi and Gombe.
Yes, they were fighting. And
what did it degenerate to fisticuff? Were they exchanging blows?
No, it was serious.
It was.
So these are people that should be struggling in the market over the desire to buy fertilizer and apply to their farms and become productive. So, they were busy in Abuja
and they were
fighting over ownership of oil wells.
There were some states represented by the Secretary to Government. There are some states represented by their Attorney General. There are some states represented by their a strong team, including their commissioners for information. But it ended in a row. And that what does it say? Is that we are over dependent on oil.
Not in the past, not today, but going into tomorrow.
The fact of the matter that as at 1970, when civil war ended in Nigeria,
before the discovery of oil,
before we now latch on oil well, before civil war in this country, we did not borrow a kobo. The two sides did not borrow a kobo from anywhere.
We were one of, if not the fastest growing economy in the early 60s when there was no crude oil.
There was no borrowing of any money, either to purchase arms or anything. It shows you that the regions sustained governance in Nigeria up to that level. Agriculture was booming in almost all the regions.
Manufacturing.
There was manufacturing. You have cocoa, cola nuts, coffee in the west. You have granite, cotton in the north. You have palm oil,
which is higher in value than crude oil. Do you know 1 bottle, 1 kilogram? Is it in kilogram now? 1 liter of palm oil. 1 liter of petrol is less than 1,000. Do you know how much 1 liter of palm oil costs? It's many times over, higher in value than crude oil. Yet we want to kill ourselves instead of focusing on palm oil that's of higher value. You're going to kill yourself over the one that's of lower value.
The decision to revive cash crops in the country is just mere rhetoric. It's on paper. It has never. You have the cotton rehabilitation project in the north to bring back the textile mills and the rest. It got billions of naira. Are we having cotton today? No. We have cocoa rehabilitation project. I even travel as a reporter all the way to Ibadan to follow up on that project out of enthusiasm. I did a story on it, what led to the collapse. I won an award as a reporter. But is cocoa back today? No, it's not back. It's not back. Yet we have cocoa house in Ibadan, standing tall. And yet the cocoa,
okay.
With which it was
quick interventions from our YouTube channel. Aderohumwa Adebayo says he shares name with you. The Balogu is correct. The senators don't mean well for Nigeria with all these executive sessions and various committees. They only mean well for their pockets and how to sustain themselves in power. Ola Matthew says, what about the world's largest bitumen deposit in Ondo State? We are not even exploiting that. They are lying fallow. And Samuel Olayinka says, the opposition party should be more concerned about the electoral bill and of reform at the moment than the polls themselves. Good morning to every member of the crew. Opposition parties are also sleeping. They are the ones that should be at the forefront of insistence that we must have a good electoral reform.
All the civil society
the protests they had.
The they did supposed to be spearheaded by opposition party. Because if the laws are faulty, if the inaccuracies in the 2022 electoral act, like I pointed out yesterday, are not rectified, we'll be back to square one.
Okay, a last word from Abul.
Well, I just wanted to say the oil boom has caused us more pain and good. When the government gave out money to civil servants, I think Balogu will remind us. I think that the
Udoji Award.
That made a lot of young persons to throw away their passion for agriculture. This issue of keke now came about. Okada. All these
are farmhands.
Yeah, farmers now drop their farming and say, "Oh, we must benefit from this crude oil boom." Keke napep came on during Marwa. Motorcycle came up, and today, go to a city like Kano, you don't have where to pass because of the number of tricycles. I think the government has to think. In Abuja, for example, they say they ban Okada so that these young boys can go back to farming. So go and check. They are all returned back. It's cheaper and it's faster for them to make.
You are banning when there is no public transport system. Before you ban, you must put in place the alternative. In Nigeria, they won't put alternative and ban. So what do they expect Nigerians to do? Those that don't have vehicles of their own, to grow wings as witches and wizards and fly to their destination? I mean, that's the type of leaders we have. Before you ban, You must put in place buses, taxis, even trams to convey people. It's only when you have done that you now say no tricycle, no Okada. Can people trek for 20 kilometers because you feel it's nauseating? You don't want to see, I don't want to see Okada or Keke around here. I mean, does it make sense? Anyway, we're out of time.
The complier of Guinness Book of Records seem not to have noticed Nigeria. Nigeria is the only country where we have bus terminals and there are no
buses. And in this 2026 budget, there's no provisions for bus terminals across the length and breadth of Nigeria. So for like the Ebonyi airport, they built an airport in Ebonyi, but no aircraft, commercial aircraft is flying in. Those that want to get closer to their gods converted it to their worship centers. What would they convert these bus terminals to in the absence of these mass transit buses? Time will tell. Thank you so much for staying with us today. My name is Amechi Anakwe. Have a nice weekend.